A few weeks ago, DC co-publishers Dan DiDio and Jim Lee both tweeted this image of a blue curtain with the word Rebirth on it. Speculation has run wild with what this could possibly mean. Are they going to try and make their comics more like their shows and movies? Are they going to reboot their universe again like they did with the New 52? Is somebody coming back from the dead? What we got instead was an announcement that DC was going to be revamping some Hanna Barbera cartoons for a new line of comics. And while I don't think this is the rebirth they were talking about, this is still an interesting project to take on, especially when you take a classic cartoon like Scooby-Doo and do this to it. But let's talk about this, because as radical as this and the other changes may be, they actually kind of make sense if you think about it. I guess this could be considered me reacting to this news, although I can't call this video a reaction video, so let's just say this is me giving an opinion. There we go, Fine Brothers can't get me now. So the whole story is that DC Comics has announced a new line of books based on classic cartoons from Hanna Barbera. Now, DC and Hanna Barbera are both owned by Warner Brothers, so this really makes sense. Take advantage of a license you own. And not only are they launching a new line of comics, but they're all getting sleek new redesigns, New 52 style. Let's start with the least radical first and work our way up to the more absurd. Future Quest is a title that is basically taking all the action cartoons from Hanna Barbera and mixing it together in one big team-up book. You got Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, Birdman, the Herculoids, and a whole lot of other characters I don't really know. This could be really cool. The artwork and character designs invoke the classic 60s feel, and it looks like it's going to be the most faithful of the bunch. I mean, I just prefer a new Johnny Quest series, but hey, I'll take it. Maybe this will lead to a Johnny Quest solo book. Next we have the Flintstones. Everybody knows the Flintstones. This series will be written by Mark Russell and feature a newly designed cast from Harley Quinn scribe Amanda Conner. This may seem really jarring at first, but really it's not that different from classic Flintstones. Amanda Conner is just making them a little bit more realistic than we're used to. But you can clearly tell who's who. Fred looks like Fred, Barney looks like Barney, Betty and Wilma look like Betty and Wilma, so forth and so on. What looks less obvious is what they're doing to Wacky Races. Wacky Races was a cult classic of the Hanna Barbera line, only lasting one season, and was about a group of people literally competing in wacky races. Now we have Wacky Raceland with art by Mark Sexton, who also did the designs for Mad Max Fury Road. And judging from the teaser image, this is going to look exactly like a Mad Max movie. Awesome! This idea just makes all sorts of sense to me. You have a show about a bunch of goofy people competing in weird races, and now you have a comic about a bunch of goofy people competing in weird races in a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland. I literally just got that, wasteland and Raceland. I just came to me as I'm filming this. If all goes well, this could be as fun and exciting as Weapon Brown is, a post-apocalyptic retelling of Charlie Brown and Peanuts. Yes, that does exist, and yes, it is awesome. And now we come to the series that is getting the most attention, the new Scooby-Doo. Dubbed Scooby Apocalypse, this new series is going to be written by Jim Lee and Keith Giffen, with art by Howard Porter and new character designs by Lee. Now the design in this image is certainly a radical departure from what we're used to, kind of like what Jim Lee did with the New 52 reboot of the DC Universe. But when you think about it, when you really look at this image, it makes sense. Now, not everything makes sense. I don't know why they're carrying guns, or why Velma looks like she's 12, or why Scooby has a bionic eye. That doesn't make sense to me. But everything else seems to be on point, from their facial expressions, to their hair, to their clothes, hell, even the setting. Shaggy seems to have gotten the biggest redesign, but if you ask me, this is what Shaggy would look like in 2016. And the cape that they're in reminds me of the tone of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, a direct-to-video film that was much more horror-focused than Scooby had been in the past. The monsters weren't guys in suits, they were all real. Everybody turned into werecats. That sounds stupid, but it is not. The high-tech weaponry does seem off-brand, and I'm not sure why Velma has a game controller in her hand, but hey, it could work. Who knows? Now, I guarantee this is by no means the official look for these characters going forward. Be Cool Scooby-Doo is currently on the air, and it is using the traditional look for Scoob and the gang. And the Flintstones really just look like they did in the live-action movie. But I am going to be keeping an eye on these because they do look interesting. And if they succeed, maybe we'll get more classic cartoons coming back as comics. Maybe Space Ghost will get a new ongoing series. Maybe Harvey Birdman will come back. Maybe Jeff Parker and Darwin Cook will give me a Johnny Quest miniseries. Hint, hint. That's just what I have to say on the matter. Let me know your thoughts down below or anywhere on the internet. Are you a fan of this? What are some Hanna Barbera characters you want to see come back? Are you too young to know what a Herculoid is? This definitely seems like it's going for an older crowd, and I'm curious to see what anybody not in college right now who doesn't remember these characters might think of this. Anyway, as always, like if you like, subscribe if you really like, share this video with a friend. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Now, Batman Begins really is the prototypical gritty reboot. It broke clean of all the other Batman films that came before it. It's much more serious and darker than the last film in the series, and has a much greater focus on realism, trying to portray Batman's world as a real world. And while other characters of the era have either mellowed out or been completely forgotten, Deadpool remained extreme but went in a different direction, one of self-satire and a parody of the medium he's in. So to do him justice in a live-action movie, an R rating would make the most sense.